Hello, welcome to Illo Talk. I am Cory Kerr. This is 100 Days of Animation Season 1, Day 14. And today I'm going to fix what I did wrong yesterday. I liked how it moved, but it screwed it up because I forgot to continuously rasterize vector layers, which apparently if you do that after you put this effect on that I did to make the mouth wiggle and the mandibles, antennas jiggle, it kind of screws everything up. I'm guessing it messes with the anchor point upon which everything pivots, or possibly how things parent to each other. But anyway, this will be a little bit of a long one. I'm not going to edit. I'm just going to narrate as I do it. And so if you're interested in learning how to do this as I learn how to do this, then buckle up. All right, so first things first here, you'll notice that I have wiggle rotation anchor point on the antennas, and then on the mouthpieces, I have wiggle shear, right? So shear is going to kind of distort it laterally, and rotation is going to rotate on a pivot point. And so as you can see here, if you hit Y, which is the pan behind tool, or I don't know why they call that, but it's the one where you move the anchor point, where everything pivots. If you're used to Illustrator, anchor point is different in After Effects rather than in Illustrator. Illustrator, it's part of a path. It's like the change the direction in the path. In After Effects, the anchor point is the point upon which everything pivots or scales or whatever, right? It's the point that is kind of the origin point, right? And so if I get out my rotate tool, you notice that it's rotating on that. If I hit Y, you kind of move that around or whatever, right? And so what it does is you get kind of this action going on. I'll zoom in on that, which is cool, right? That's what I'm going for. The problem is I forgot to click on this, and that makes it so that I can infinitely zoom in. And so when I highlight everything and click on that, for some reason, unbeknown to me, everything breaks and falls apart and is awful looking. So I don't know what the crap is going on with that. Yeah. So anyway, so when I come in here like this, I just want to test this theory out here. If I click on this mandible, is that one? This one? Is that the one I want? Yeah, moves. So why is that translating differently? I don't know. But here's what I'm going to do. All right. So first off, I'm going to hide the ones that I'm not going to be working on right now, just so I can see the mouth. And then I'm going to lock down the head. So now I can't accidentally click on the head, right? You just click on that little lock button. Okay, so I have mouth, points, and I'm just going to open all of these up. Boom. And I'm going to get rid of the effect and the transform. Goodbye. Okay, so I guess it's just the effect. But I'm going to do that on each one of them. And I'm doing that because I want to apply a new effect. And it becomes problematic if you apply a new effect over an old effect when you're trying to do that. Dealio. So now everything's back where I want it, right? You can kind of see those things are kind of where they are. And this time I've made sure that I have my for comp layer collapse transformations for vector layer continuously rasterize. And so the idea is I can infinitely zoom in. You see how it's stair-stepping right now? It shouldn't be. Anyway, still trying to figure that out. But that, I believe, is what will cause this to render so that it doesn't pixelate, so that I can zoom in and not have pixelation problems. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let's take this first one. I'm going to hide these other ones. And if you're just working on one thing, then you can just click the solo button, right? And so I'll just show you what these look like so you can kind of see the setup. Okay, I've got rows of these little guys kind of repeated. And I can already see a problem. Right there, it looks like that highlight. Well, we'll just ignore that for now. Okay. So I'm just going to deal with this one and the head. Okay. And so I want my origin point to be up here. Okay. And that's going to be the thing where everything transforms or whatnot. That's called the anchor point. I call it the origin point because that's what I'm used to calling it. But anyway, if I go over here to effects and presets and I twirl into behaviors, right? Over here in behaviors, I have a number of things. Some of the ones that I like, drift over time. If I were to take drift over time and apply it to this layer, then you would see that I don't, without adding any keyframes, it just drifts. Right? So that's one that you could do. Another one, let's take that off. Another one is rotate over time, same thing. It's just going to slowly rotate, go through. So there's some cool stuff, right? Some cool stuff with that. So, but the ones that I'm really interested in right now are these wiggle options. Wiggle gelatin is going to give you kind of like a jello situation. Wiggle position is going to give you a variable on the position. Rotation gives you a variable, and it's constantly changing variable. So you don't have to add keyframes to add randomness, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is just kind of randomness to this thing. So it's a random variable. Wiggle scale is going to increase or decrease the size, and wiggle shear is going to kind of deform or transform it on a shear transform. And I'm not sure what Wigglorama does. I think Wigglorama is probably like random everything. I'm not sure though. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, so on this mouth, and let's twirl this down so we can see what's going on. I'm going to add wiggle shear. Just drag it right on there and it adds it. Okay, and so now when I look at this, it wiggles back and forth. Right? And it's pretty all over the place. Okay, which is cool. And so if I take my wiggle amount down considerably, because I want it to wiggle, but I don't want it to out of memory. Fantastic. Okay, sorry, minor blip, ran out of memory there. So I want this thing to wiggle back and forth, but what I don't want it to do is exceed the boundaries of that thing. And so I've got to come in here and kind of test it out and see if it's going too far. It's still going a little too far. Right there is farther than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to take my wiggle amount down even more to just be, super small amounts of wiggle. Okay, and that seems to be kind of where we're at. Okay, now I'm just going to press the space bar. Oh, let me get rid of this deal. I'm actually going to turn off keyframing. Let it render a little bit. Just because I want to get an idea for the speed at which it's going to do it. Because those are the two main things that I'm concerned with here. Is like this. Okay. So that's a little slow. It's a little slower than I want it to be. So I'm actually going to increase my speed. Not so much. Maybe at a 3. That's a little bit better. I like that. Okay, I'm going to turn the keyframes off for that as well. Okay, twirl this back up. Now, let us add the second mouth here. All right, so we did mouth 3. Now we're going to do mouth 2. Now the trick is I still want to do this wiggle shear. Okay, first I'm going to hit Y. I'm going to move this up here to the center so we're wiggling on the same point. And I still want to do this wiggle shear. But because I want these to be off of each other, there's two main things that I'm very concerned about. And I want to make sure that it doesn't do that, right? But also I want to make sure that it doesn't match this other layer, because what I'm trying to get them to do is kind of be independent of each other. And so I know the other one was a 3. And so I'm going to, let me just, I know the other one was a 3. So I'm just going to take this to be, I'm just going to take it to be a 4. Let's see if that'll work. Okay, I'm watching just that second one. Okay, it's still a little too far. So I'm going to go under a 3. And let's just go like a 2. 2.3 there. And these numbers are going to change based on what you want to do, but notice how they're moving independently of each other, except I still want them to move quickly. Adding keyframes here, so let me turn that off. Okay, and I still want them to go quickly, so I'm just going to go a little bit faster. I can't remember what the speed of number 3 was, so let's look. It was 3, and so let's go. Wiggle amount, 2 wiggle per second. So I'm going to make this be a little bit slower. Let's go like 2.5. I'm not sure that it really matters what I'm typing in here, as long as it's different than the other ones, and it doesn't exceed. So I'm still seeing some fairly extreme movement. It's going too far for my taste. So I'm going to take my wiggle amount down. I think 3 might be my upper limit, so I'm going to go 2 here. Get rid of my keyframes. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to kind of randomize itself like that. So I kind of want to see what this keyframe is. What is that keyframe? Anchor point and position. I don't want those to be keyframes, so I'm going to turn those off. I just want them to be what they are. If you hit U, it'll reveal all of your anchor points. I'm going to take anchor point and position out. I'm clicking on this little stopwatch. It removes the keyframes, but it leaves the positions there. So we're still good there. Okay, so let's do the same thing here again. So I'm going to go mouth 1, and we'll add that guy in, which is this guy here. And I want to look at that. So I think I'm actually going to lower mouth 1 just a little bit here. I want it to be a little bit lower. I want mouth 2 to also be a touch lower. There we go. And we're getting more of what I'm looking for here. Let me just check. Still moving independently of each other. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So I think if I get rid of this, yes. Can I turn that off? Nope. Okay. We'll just deal with that. Obviously, I'm still trying to figure everything out. So let's turn off position here. Okay. Now mouth 1, I'm going to wiggle shear again. Boom. Okay, and let's look at effects on mouth 1, and we'll kind of dive into, remember, speed and wiggle them out. 20 is going to be way too much. I know it's going to be it's going to be under 3. I'm going to make it actually kind of 1.65. I'm just kind of picking a number out of random there. Okay, and because I'm having trouble seeing it, I need to get rid of the other 2 just so I can focus on that one. And it goes too far. See how you can see parts of the artwork here that you don't want to see? I don't want to see that. Also, I forgot to do something, so I'm going to undo. Okay. The reason I undid is I forgot to move my anchor point, which I want to do on each one. So I hit Y, click and drag that up. Okay, then I'm going to drag this over. Then I'm going to come in and I'll go wiggle amount 1.65 for whatever reason. Click to get rid of my anchor point. It's still too far. So let's go down to just 1. How's that? Is that too far? Okay. Now, because I can't quite tell what's going on, I'm going to hide these ones again. Boom, boom. Yep, that's good. Okay, I don't see it going too far. And so now I just want it to be a little bit faster. So let's go to like a, what are these other ones at? Give me the effect. Wiggle shear, 2.5 per second. How about this one? 3.2. Okay, so I want this one to maybe move like a little faster. So let's try 4 per second. And let's see what happens when we do that. Okay, that's looking good. Let's add these back in. Hit the space bar to let that deal render. Notice this little green line is kind of rendering what's going on. So we're not getting actual speed right now. We are now. Yeah, that's looking good. This one little bit is driving me crazy. I will fix that. Okay. Then let's do the last and final piece, which is going to be the big one. Okay, so bring that back in. Swirl into that. Highlight it. Hit Y to pull up our anchor point tool. Click and drag the anchor point to be at the top middle. You can put that anchor point wherever you want, but for what I'm doing right now, I want it top middle. Wiggle shear, drag and drop. Okay, let's turn off anchor point and position. Scroll that up, scroll this down. Okay, so I want my wiggle speed to be 5. And I want this to not be insane. So let's bring that down to 3 to start, and let's see if that puts us where we want it to be. That might be a little too much for that one. It's a little too much. I'm going to take that down to 3. I'm going to take my wiggle amount down to 1. And I'm going to take... I'm adding keyframes. Dang it. So let's go 3. Let's go 1. And let's get rid of the keyframes. Let it render real quick. Yep, I'm digging that. Okay, save, always save. Look I, always look I. So now I can get out of this deal and let's go to the head. And let's make sure that I render the head. Good. Let's go to the leader front. And let's see how we do here when we zoom in. Hopefully this solves this problem. Hey, it is rendering. Lock. And now you'll notice that I put a rotation wiggle with my anchor point right here on the head and hat. And so that's going to go back and forth slightly on a rotation randomness. And since this is pre-comped inside of that, it rotates inside because I put that on the pre-comp. And so now I've got kind of my gross looking mouth kind of moving back and forth. Okay. And so let's go back in and go back in. And now we will turn on. So these guys are good. I'm going to hide them and I'm going to bring these guys back and let's turn on our antenna, which are all over the place right now. So I'm trying to figure out what is weird about these. Let's turn this off. Why does that do that? That's so strange. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to take this. I do not understand what's going on. I still have the effect. Okay, delete the effect. Boom. Okay, back in the spot. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Sorry, guys. Momentary brain fart. Delete the effect. delete the effect. Delete the effect. Okay, and I actually do want to add my mouth in here so I can see what's going on there. I'm just going to do these outer two because I'm actually going to redo the inner ones so that they have a pivot joint right here and right here. And I might redo this, but I just want to test it to make sure that this is going to work. I'll just do one of them so you guys can get the idea. Okay, so I'm going to take this, okay, and I'm going to add the effect. Okay, I've got my anchor point where I want it. And if I hit my, I'm just going to hit U so I can see those keyframes. Highlight all the keyframes. Delete all the keyframes. Okay. All right, so my anchor point is where I want it. If I hit rotate, it pivots on that anchor point, right? So I can have it swing wildly. Swing low, sweet chariot. All right, now instead of wiggle shear, I want wiggle rotation, which is going to add a variable, a random variable to my rotation factor, okay? And so I'm just going to drag and drop wiggle rotation onto that layer. And that is frustrating. Why is it doing that? Okay, well, obviously I've got some work to do, so I'm going to figure that out. And I'm not going to make you guys watch me while I figure that out. I will show you tomorrow how that works. In the meantime, thanks for watching. This is Illotalk, 100 Days of Animation, Day 14, Season 1. My name is Cory Kerr. You can find me at corykerr.com. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you can see what's going on with this. I'll be posting these one every day until I am finished with this short film. So it's kind of like a behind-the-scenes documentary. And as you saw today, I'm showing it warts and all, even when I screw it up and can't figure out what the crap is going on, which I will figure out. That's the whole point of this process, is to learn how to do this. So anyway, check me out, corykerr.com, Twitter, Cory Kerr, and Instagram, Cory Kerr Art, and subscribe here on YouTube. And that's awesome. Leave a comment. Let me know that you are watching, or spread the news or whatever. Or don't tell anyone and just hoard these videos for yourself in your secret little hoard of links that you don't share with people. It's fine too. It's cool. No judgment there. I don't know. Anyway, weirded out by that thing not working. I really thought I had figured that out. And I haven't. So I'll catch you next time. Catch you on the flip side. I don't even know what that means. Gotta watch more Buck Rogers. I like that show.
Widerstand is een weggelegd, is harder guter angetan. Und darin alle höheren Offiziere rekrutieren zu lassen, wie Stalin!
What did he want with tweaking?
Whatever it is, he can't have it.
Dr. Hewer, this is Colonel Deering. Do you read? Do you read?
Yes, Colonel Deering, this is Dr. Shear. We seem to have a substantial amount of interference.